Jake Martinez walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. His black suit felt heavy on his shoulders. The weight was not from the fabric. It was from knowing that today might be the last chance to save everyone. The chamber was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. The ceiling stretched so high that Jake could barely see the top. Strange lights floated in the air without any support. Alien representatives sat in their special seats. Each seat was made for a different type of body. Some aliens were tall and thin, others were short and wide. A few looked almost human, but their skin was the wrong color. Jake carried a small device in his hand. It held all the data that Dr. Lisa Chang had gathered over the past 6 months. The information on that device could save billions of lives. But first, he had to make these aliens listen. The council chairman was a creature called Vexthul. He belonged to the Zentari Empire. Vexthul was 8 feet tall with blue skin and 4 arms. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together when he spoke. "The human representative may begin," Vexthul said. He did not sound interested. Jake walked to the center of the chamber. A circle of light appeared around him. Every alien in the room could see him clearly now. He felt very small. "Thank you, Chairman," Jake said. "I come here today with urgent news. Our scientists have discovered something that threatens every living being in this galaxy." Several aliens made sounds that Jake thought might be laughter. Others whispered to each other in languages he did not understand. Jake pressed a button on his device. A large image appeared in the air above him. It showed stars and planets, and the dark space between them. "Dr. Lisa Chang is our best scientist, who studies space," Jake continued. "She has been watching energy patterns from the Andromeda spiral. For many months, she noticed something strange. The image changed. Now it showed waves of energy moving through space. The waves were invisible to normal eyes, but Dr. Chang's special equipment could see them. "These energy patterns are not random," Jake said. "They are not background noise like your scientists believe. Dr. Chang has proven that these waves are caused by something called a dark matter cascade." More whispers filled the chamber. Some aliens seemed interested now. Others still looked bored. Counselor Quindar of the Hegemony stood up. He was shorter than Vexthul, but wider. His skin was green and covered in scales. "Impossible," he said. "Our scientists have studied these patterns for thousands of years. Your species has only been in space for 200 years. How could you see something we missed?" Jake had expected this question. "Because we look at things differently," he said. Dr. Ryan Brooks developed new ways to measure quantum energy. He built machines that work in ways your scientists never tried. The image changed again. This time it showed numbers and graphs. The data was complex, but the meaning was simple. Something very big and very dangerous was heading toward their galaxy. "The dark matter cascade is moving toward us," Jake said. "It will hit the outer edge of our galaxy in 18 months. When it arrives, it will destroy everything in its path." The chamber became quiet. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. "Define destroy," said another alien. This one looked like a giant insect with too many eyes. Jake swallowed hard. "Every star the cascade touches will become unstable. Planets will be torn apart. Solar systems will collapse. Nothing will survive." The silence lasted for a long time. Then Vexthul spoke. "Show us your proof." Jake pressed another button. The air filled with more images, charts and graphs and pictures from space. Telescopes. All of it showed the same thing. Death was coming, and it was coming fast. "Dr. Chang has calculated the exact path of the cascade," Jake said. "It will hit the Kepler system first. Then it will move toward the core worlds. The energy will build up as it travels. By the time it reaches the central systems, it will be unstoppable." "How long do we have?" asked a small alien that looked like a purple cat. 18 months until the cascade reaches the outer colonies," Jake said. "But we need to start moving people now. The evacuation will take time. Lots of time." "Counselor." Quindar stood up again. "This is fear-mongering," he said. "Humans are known for their emotional reactions. You see danger where none exists." "The data does not lie," Jake said. Dr. Chang has checked her work many times. Other human scientists have verified her calculations. The cascade is real. Human scientists, Vexthul said. The way he said it made it sound like an insult. Your species has been studying space for less than 3 centuries. The Zentari have been spacefaring for over 10,000 years. Do you really think you know something we do not? Jake felt anger rising in his chest. He pushed it down. Getting angry would not help. Yes, he said, simply. I think we see something you missed because you were not looking for it. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens talked loudly to each other. Some seemed angry, others seemed confused. A few looked worried. Vexthul raised one of his forearms. The noise stopped. The council will consider your request, he said. We will have our scientists review your data. If there is any truth to your claims, we will take appropriate action. Jake felt his heart sink. He had hoped for immediate action. Every day they waited meant fewer lives saved. With respect, Chairman, Jake said, there is no time for long reviews. The cascade is already affecting the outer systems. We need to start evacuations now. The Council does not act on panic, Vexthul said. We make decisions based on careful study and proper procedure. Your request for emergency fleet assistance is denied until our scientists can verify your claims. Jake looked around the chamber. He saw doubt in many alien faces. He saw arrogance in others. He saw fear in a few. But he did not see the urgency that the situation demanded. How long will this review take, Jake asked. As long as necessary, Vexthul said. The Council will not be rushed into hasty decisions by unproven human theories. Jake felt defeat settling over him like a heavy blanket. He had one more card to play. Admiral Kate Sullivan has already begun preparing evacuation ships, he said. Earth's fleet is ready to help with rescue operations. We can start saving lives today. Earth's fleet will remain in human space, Counselor Quindar said. Firmly, any unauthorized military action in Council territory will be considered an act of aggression. The session was over. Jake could see it in the aliens' faces. They had made up their minds before he even arrived. They would not listen to warnings from a species they considered inferior. As Jake walked toward the exit, he noticed Dr. Chang sitting in the observation area. She had insisted on coming to hear the Council's response. Her face was pale. Her hands shook as she held her datapad. Dr. Chang had spent months perfecting her calculations. She had double-checked every number. She had run the simulations hundreds of times. She knew with absolute certainty that the cascade was coming, and now she knew with equal certainty that billions of beings would die because their leaders were too proud to listen. Jake met Dr. Chang outside the chamber. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Dr. Chang broke the silence. How many people do you think we can save with just our own ships? Jake thought about Earth's small fleet, about the evacuation ships that Admiral Sullivan was building, about the millions of humans spread across dozens of colonies. Not enough, he said quietly. Not nearly enough. Dr. Chang nodded. She had expected that answer, but she had not expected how much it would hurt to hear it. They walked away from the Council chamber together. Behind them, the aliens continued their debates about proper procedure and careful study. They had 18 months to learn that some things cannot wait for committees to decide. Time was running out and the Council was still checking their watches. 6 months had passed since Jake Martinez left the Galactic Council chamber with empty hands. Dr. Lisa Chang had not stopped working. Every day she checked her numbers. Every day, the numbers got worse. The dark matter cascade was moving faster than her first calculations showed. What she thought would take 18 months was now happening in 14. The outer rim colonies would start dying soon. Captain Ben Tucker stood on the bridge of his starship New Horizon. He was looking at a list of human colonies that needed evacuation. The list was long, too long for the small fleet that Earth had built. Captain, his communication officer said, we have a message from Admiral Sullivan. Put it through, Ben, said as Admiral Kate Sullivan appeared on the main screen. She looked tired. Dark circles showed under her eyes. She had been working without sleep for weeks. Ben, I need you to expand your mission. she said. We're not just evacuating human settlements anymore. We're going to help anyone who will let us. Ben frowned. The council made it clear that our ships should stay in human space. They said any help we offer would be seen as aggression. The council can go to hell, Kate said. Her voice was hard. People are going to die. I don't care what species they are. If we can save them, we save them. Ben nodded. He had been thinking the same thing. What about the political consequences? Let me worry about politics, Kate said. You worry about saving lives. The screen went dark. Ben turned to his own crew. They were all human, but they had worked with aliens before. They knew that fear and hope looked the same on every face, no matter what color the skin was. Set course for the Zentari mining colony on Veltar, Ben ordered. Maximum speed. Sir, his pilot said. That's in Zentari space. We don't have permission to be there. We don't need permission to save lives, Ben said. 3 days later, the New Horizon arrived at Veltar. The colony was built around a red dwarf star that was already showing signs of instability. Dr. Chang's monitoring stations had detected the early stages of stellar collapse. Ben tried to contact the colony administrator. The response was not friendly. Human vessel, you are in violation of Zentari territorial law, came the angry voice. Leave immediately or face military action. Colony administrator, this is Captain Tucker of the New Horizon, Ben said calmly. We have scientific evidence that your star is about to collapse. We are here to evacuate your people. Zentari science has declared your human predictions to be false, the administrator replied. We do not need your help. Ben looked at his eye. Science officer. She was monitoring the star's energy output. The readings were getting worse by the hour. Administrator, I'm sending you our sensor data, Ben said. Look at it yourself. Your star is dying. Zentari scientists have reviewed human claims and found them to be without merit, the administrator said. Leave our space immediately. Ben closed the communication channel. He turned to his crew. How long before that star goes critical? He asked his science officer. Based on Dr. Chang's models, maybe 3 days, she said. Could be less. Ben made a decision that would probably end his career. Open a channel to all frequencies. Broadcast to every person on that planet. Sir? His communication officer asked. Do it. The channel opened. Ben began to speak. Citizens of Veltar, this is Captain Ben Tucker of the human starship New Horizon. Your star is about to collapse. Your government may not believe us, but the science is clear. Anyone who wants to evacuate should meet us at landing site 7. We have room for everyone. The response was immediate. Angry transmissions from Zentari Command. Threats of military action. Demands that the humans leave Zentari space. But also something else. Private messages from individual colonists. Families who had seen the same data that Dr. Chang had collected. Scientists who worked on Veltar and knew that their star was acting strange. Captain, his communication officer said quietly, we're getting evacuation requests. Lots of them. Over the next 2 days, Ben's crew worked around the clock. They transported families from the planet's surface to the New Horizon. Human and Zentari children played together in the ship's corridors, while their parents watched the star through the viewports. The Zentari military sent 3 ships to force the humans to leave. When they arrived, they found something they had not expected. Zentari civilians defending the human rescue ship. You cannot take us back to the planet, one Zentari mother told the military commander. My children are safe here. I will not let you put them in danger. The military commander was confused. His orders were to remove the human ship and return all Zentari citizens to the colony. But the citizens did not want to go back. The human predictions are false, the commander said. Zentari science has proven this. Then why is our star flickering? Asked a Zentari scientist who had been working on the planet. Why are the energy readings so high? Why do our own instruments show the same data that the humans are showing us? The military commander had no good answer. On the 3rd day, the star died. Ben was on the bridge when it happened. The red dwarf that had burned steadily for billions of years suddenly collapsed. The stellar core compressed beyond the point of stability. The outer layers exploded outward in a massive burst of energy and radiation. The planet Veltar lasted less than 10 minutes. The explosion stripped away its atmosphere first. Then the surface rock melted. Finally, the planet broke apart and fell into the collapsing star. 40,000 Zentari had lived on Veltar. Ben's ship carried 800 survivors. The rest had stayed on the planet, trusting their government scientists more than human warnings. The explosion was visible across half the galaxy. Every telescope and sensor array recorded the event. The data was impossible to ignore or explain. Away Dr. Chang was in her laboratory on Earth when the news came. She had predicted this exact event down to the day. She had tried to warn everyone. Now she watched the recordings of a planet dying and felt sick to her stomach. Sam Peterson found her there an hour later. Sam was an engineer who had been working with Dr. Chang to build better monitoring stations. He had helped design the sensors that detected the dark matter cascade. "Lisa," he said quietly, "the council is calling an emergency session." Dr. Chang looked up from her computer screen. "Now they want to listen?" "It's too late for Veltar," Sam said. "But maybe not too late for everyone else." Dr. Chang stood up slowly. She felt very old, even though she was only 35. "How many more stars are going to die before they believe us?" Sam did not have an answer for that. Meanwhile, Captain Ben Tucker was dealing with 800 refugees who had lost everything. The Zentari survivors were grateful to be alive, but they were also angry. Angry at their government for ignoring the warnings. Angry at their scientists for being wrong. Angry at the universe for taking their home away. "What happens to us now?" asked the Zentari mother who had defended the human ship. "We take you somewhere safe," Ben said. "Earth has colony worlds that can take refugees. You'll have new homes." "Why are you helping us?" asked the Zentari scientist. "Your government and ours are not friends. We have been rivals for decades." Ben thought about that question for a moment. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said finally. "When someone is drowning, you don't ask what country they're from before you throw them a rope." The Zentari scientist nodded slowly. "Your species is very strange," he said, "but perhaps that is not a bad thing." Back on the council world, Chairman Vexthul was reading reports from the Veltar disaster. The data was clear. The human predictions had been exactly correct. The Zentari scientific analysis had been completely wrong. Counselor Quindar stood beside him. "What do we do now?" Quindar asked. Vexthul was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. "We admit that we were wrong, and we hope that it is not too late to fix our mistake." But in his heart, Vexthul already knew the truth. It was too late. The cascade was moving faster than anyone had predicted. More stars would die. More planets would be destroyed. And the only people who seemed ready to do anything about it were the humans that the council had dismissed as primitive and paranoid. The greatest tragedy was not that Veltar had died. The greatest tragedy was that it did not have to happen. If the council had listened 6 months ago, those 40,000 people would still be alive. Now they had proof that the humans were right. But proof bought with the lives of innocents was the most expensive kind of truth. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was different from any meeting in their history. The chamber that had been filled with proud voices and confident declarations 6 months ago was now quiet. The aliens who had laughed at human warnings were no longer laughing. Chairman Vexthul sat in his tall chair staring at the holographic display floating in the center of the room. The display showed the death of Veltar over and over again. Each replay made the truth harder to ignore. Jake Martinez stood in the same circle of light where he had presented his warnings months before. This time no one was whispering or making dismissive sounds. Every alien in the chamber was listening carefully. "Dr. Chang's revised calculations show that the situation is worse than we first thought," Jake said. His voice was steady, but inside, he felt sick thinking about all the lives that could have been saved. Dr. Amy Foster stood beside Jake. She was a climatologist who had joined Dr. Chang's research team after the Veltar disaster. Amy had spent weeks analyzing the energy patterns from the stellar collapse. The dark matter cascade is not just destroying stars, Amy said. It's feeding on them. Each star that dies makes the cascade stronger and faster. The display changed to show Amy's new data. The cascade was like a wave moving through space, but it was a wave that grew bigger with each thing it destroyed. Counselor Quindar raised one of his scaled hands. How much time do we have? Dr. Chang stepped forward. She looked older than she had 6 months ago. The stress of being right about something so terrible had aged her quickly. 9 months until the cascade reaches the core systems, she said. 3 months until it becomes impossible to evacuate the major population centers. The silence that followed was heavy. Every alien in the chamber was doing the same math in their heads. Billions of lives. Hundreds of worlds. All of it could be lost. What would evacuation require? Asked a small alien from the hegemony. Jake had prepared for this question. Every available ship, every transport vessel, every cargo hauler. We need to move entire populations across interstellar distances. Impossible, said another council member. The logistics alone would take years to organize, which is why we should have started 6 months ago, Jake said quietly. The words hit the chamber like a physical blow. Every alien there knew it was true. They had wasted 6 months in committees and debates while the countdown to destruction continued. Chairman Vexthal stood up slowly. His forearms hung at his sides like he was carrying invisible weights. Show us what you propose, he said. Jake activated another display. This one showed ship counts and population numbers and evacuation routes. The math was brutal. Earth's shipyards have been working non-stop since we first detected the cascade, Jake said. We have built 300 evacuation vessels. Each one can carry 50,000 people. That is 15 million beings, calculated a Zentari representative. The core systems alone have over 2 billion inhabitants. We know, Jake said. That's why we need every ship from every member world. And we need them now. Counselor Quindar stood up. The hegemony has 700 ships that could be converted for evacuation duty. But our engineers say the conversion would take 4 months. Our engineers say it can be done in 6 weeks, Jake replied. We're willing to share our modification techniques. Human techniques, Quindar said. The old disdain was still there, but it was weaker now. Techniques that work, Jake said firmly. Dr. Chang activated another display. This one showed the locations of every human ship in the galaxy. Red dots marked evacuation vessels, blue dots marked cargo ships, green dots marked warships that could be converted to carry refugees. Captain Ben Tucker is already running evacuation missions, Dr. Chang said. His ship New Horizon has saved over 2,000 beings in the past month. Captain Lisa Park and her vessel Endeavour have rescued 5,000 more. These operations are illegal, protested a council security official. Human ships are operating in restricted space without authorization. People are dying, Jake said. His voice was getting louder. While you worry about paperwork and authorization, families are being torn apart by stellar collapses. Chairman Vexthul raised one of his hands for silence. The human operations will be retroactively authorized, he said. All restrictions on human rescue vessels are hereby lifted. It was the first time in council history that emergency authorization had been granted to a single species. It was also far too little and far too late. We need more than authorization, Dr. Chang said. We need cooperation, full cooperation from every member world. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some aliens wanted to save their own people first. Others argued about which worlds were most important. A few suggested that some populations might have to be sacrificed to save others. Jake listened to the arguments with growing anger. These creatures were still playing politics while the galaxy burned around them. Stop, he said finally. His voice cut through the debate like a knife. The chamber fell silent. Every minute you spend arguing is another minute we lose, Jake said. The cascade doesn't care about your political boundaries. It doesn't care about your trade agreements or your historical disputes. It's going to kill everyone equally. Then what do you suggest? Asked Chairman Vexthul. Put humans in charge of the evacuation, Jake said. The chamber erupted in angry voices. The idea of letting the youngest species in the Council lead a galactic operation was unthinkable to most aliens. "You have been spacefaring for less than 3 centuries," shouted one alien. "We have been exploring the stars for millennia." "And where has all that experience gotten you?" Jake shot back. "You missed the biggest threat in galactic history. You ignored clear warnings. You let 40,000 people die on Veltar because you were too proud to listen." Dr. Amy Foster stepped forward. "Admiral Kate Sullivan has already developed evacuation protocols," she said. "Her plans can save over 60% of the galactic population if we start immediately." 60%, whispered a council member. "That means 40% will die." 40% will die if we start now, Dr. Chang corrected. "If we wait another month, it will be 60%. If we wait 2 months, it will be 80%. The mathematics of death hung in the air like a poison cloud. Chairman Vexthul looked around the chamber. He saw fear in every alien face. Fear and the terrible knowledge that they had failed in their most basic duty to protect their people. "The Council formally requests human assistance in coordinating galactic evacuation efforts," he said. The words came out like they hurt to say. For the first time in Council history, the advanced civilizations of the galaxy were asking the youngest species for help. Jake nodded. "Admiral Sullivan is already preparing her ships. Captain Tucker's fleet is ready to expand operations. Dr. Chang's monitoring stations will track the cascade and optimize evacuation routes. What do you need from us?" asked Counselor Quindar. "Everything," Jake said simply. "Every ship, every resource, every person who can help, and we need you to follow human command structure without question." The idea of alien crews taking orders from human captains was almost as shocking as the cascade itself. But the alternative was extinction. "There will be conditions," said a hegemony representative. "No conditions," Jake said firmly. "No committees. No review boards. No political oversight. This is a rescue operation, not a diplomatic mission." Chairman Vexthul looked around the chamber one more time. He saw the same thing in every face. They were beaten. Their pride had cost them everything. "The Council agrees to human leadership of evacuation operations," he said. "Emergency powers are granted immediately." Jake felt no satisfaction in the victory. It had come at the cost of too many lives and too much time. "Dr. Chang will establish coordination centers on every major world," he said. "Captain Tucker will lead the Outer Rim evacuations. Captain Park will handle the core system operations. Admiral Sullivan will coordinate from Earth." As the council session ended, Jake realized that they had just dissolved thousands of years of galactic government in a single afternoon. The aliens, who had once considered humans primitive, were now depending on human leadership for their survival. It was the greatest compliment humanity had ever received. It was also the most terrible responsibility they had ever accepted. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the command center of the Starship Liberty. Around her, dozens of screens showed the greatest rescue operation in galactic history. Ships moved like streams of light across the star maps. Each dot represented thousands of lives being carried to safety. 3 months had passed since the Council gave humans control of the evacuation. 3 months of non-stop work. 3 months of miracles and disasters happening side by side. "Admiral," her communication officer called out, "Captain Tucker is reporting from the Rigel system." Kate turned to the main screen. Captain Ben Tucker appeared, looking tired but determined. Behind him, she could see the bridge of the New Horizon crowded with alien refugees. "Kate, we've got a problem," Ben said. "The Rigel colonies have twice as many people as we expected. We need more ships." Kate looked at her fleet deployment screen. Every human ship was already assigned to evacuation runs. There were no reserves left. "How many people are we talking about?" she asked. 40,000 Zentari, 15,000 hegemony citizens, and about 8,000 from smaller species, Ben replied. Kate did quick math in her head. That was 63,000 beings who would die if they could not find transport. "Give me an hour," she said. "I'll find you ships." The screen went dark. Kate turned to her staff officers. They all looked as tired as she felt. Options? She asked. Commander Sam Peterson spoke up. He had been promoted from engineer to logistics coordinator when the evacuation started. We could pull ships from the core system runs. That means leaving people behind in the core systems, Kate said. People who will die when the cascade arrives. We could ask the council to contribute more ships, suggested another officer. Kate shook her head. The council members are still arguing about which of their own people to save first. They won't give us ships for mixed colonies. Dr. Amy Foster looked up from her computer. She had been working with Dr. Chang to track the cascade's progress. What if we modify the cargo haulers? Strip out the cargo space and install passenger compartments? How long would that take? Kate asked. With human work crews, maybe 2 weeks per ship, Sam said. We don't have 2 weeks, Kate replied. The cascade will hit Rigel in 6 days. The command center fell quiet. This was the nightmare scenario they had all feared. Too many people and not enough ships. Choices that no one should have to make. Captain. Lisa Park's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, this is the Endeavor. I might have a solution to your Rigel problem. Kate activated the screen. Lisa appeared, standing on the bridge of her ship. Like Ben, she looked exhausted. Her hair was messy and her uniform wrinkled. I'm listening, Kate said. We've been working with alien engineers to modify their ships, Lisa explained. The Zentari have been using their military vessels to carry refugees. Their ships are bigger than ours. The Zentari military ships are already at full capacity, Kate said. Not the warships, Lisa replied. The support vessels, fuel tankers, supply ships, maintenance craft. We can strip out their equipment and pack them with people. Kate felt a spark of hope. How many ships are we talking about? In the Rigel sector, maybe 50 vessels. Enough to handle the overflow. Do it, Kate ordered. Whatever you need to make it work. Lisa nodded, and the screen went dark. Kate turned, back to her staff. That's one crisis solved, she said. What's the next emergency? Commander Peterson pulled up another display. The hegemony worlds are refusing to follow evacuation schedules. They want to take their entire industrial infrastructure with them, Kate sighed. This was another recurring problem. The alien governments wanted to save their factories and databases and cultural artifacts. They did not understand that there was no room for anything except people. Put me through to Hegemony High Command, Kate said. A few minutes later, the alien commander appeared on screen. His green scales looked darker than usual, which Kate had learned meant he was stressed. Admiral Sullivan, the commander said, my people are asking why they must abandon their manufacturing centers. These facilities took centuries to build. Because there's no room, Kate said patiently. She had explained this dozens of times to dozens of different alien leaders. Every cubic meter of space is needed for people. Equipment can be rebuilt. People cannot be brought back from the dead. Our industrial capacity represents the work of generations, the commander argued. Your industrial capacity will be meaningless if everyone who knows how to use it is dead, Kate replied. The argument continued for 20 minutes. In the end, Kate had to threaten to leave Hegemony worlds off the evacuation schedule entirely. The alien commander finally agreed to follow human protocols. As soon as that call ended, another crisis appeared. Dr. Chang called from her monitoring station on Earth. Kate, we have a problem with the cascade timing, Dr. Chang said when she appeared on screen. It's moving faster than our latest calculations. Kate felt her stomach drop. How much faster? The core systems have 5 months, not 9, Dr. Chang said. The outer rim colonies have 6 weeks, not 3 months. Kate closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she was looking at the impossible task of evacuating the entire galaxy in half the time they had planned for. Update all fleet commanders, she ordered. Emergency acceleration of all operations. Over the next few weeks, the evacuation became a desperate race against time. Human ships worked around the clock. Alien crews learned to follow human efficiency protocols. The careful schedules that Sam Peterson had created were thrown out in favor of whatever worked fastest. Captain Ben Tucker pushed his crews harder than ever. The New Horizon made evacuation runs that should have taken days in just hours. His engineering teams learned to repair ships while they were still in flight. Captain Lisa Park turned the Endeavour into a mobile command center. She coordinated dozens of alien ships, teaching their crews how to pack refugees efficiently and safely. Centauri military officers took orders from human junior officers without complaint. The most surprising development was how well the different species worked together. Centauri engineers helped modify hegemony ships. Hegemony pilots learned to navigate using human star charts. Smaller species provided technical expertise that made the evacuation possible. Dr. Amy Foster established refugee processing centers on dozens of worlds. She worked with alien doctors to make sure that people from different species could survive together in the crowded ships. Some aliens needed different air mixtures. Others required special gravity settings. Amy's teams solved these problems faster than anyone thought possible. The evacuation fleet grew bigger every day. Council members who had been protecting their own ships finally contributed everything they had. Merchant captains volunteered their vessels. Even pirate ships joined the rescue effort. Admiral Kate Sullivan realized that they were witnessing something that had never happened before in galactic history. All the different species were working together with a single purpose. The threat of extinction had done what thousands of years of diplomacy could not achieve. But the cost was enormous. Every day reports came in of worlds that could not be reached in time. Stars that collapsed before the evacuation ships arrived. Colonies that were simply too far away to save. Kate kept a running count of the lives saved and the lives lost. The numbers grew larger every day. By the end of the fourth month, over 40 million beings had been evacuated to safety. But over 100 million had died in stellar collapses. The hardest part was the messages from people who knew they would not be rescued. Families who recorded final videos for relatives on other worlds. Scientists who transmitted their research data, knowing that they would not live to continue their work. Children who drew pictures that they wanted to be remembered by. Kate received thousands of these messages every day. She read them all. She felt that she owed that much to the people she could not save. As the fifth month began, the evacuation entered its final phase. The cascade was now visible to the naked eye from many worlds. It looked like a wall of darkness moving through space, swallowing stars as it advanced. The last ships left the core systems carrying the final groups of refugees. Behind them, the greatest civilizations in galactic history prepared to die. Kate stood on the bridge of the Liberty as it jumped to hyperspace, carrying 50,000 beings toward safety. She looked back at the galaxy they were leaving behind and wondered if they had done enough. They had saved millions of lives, but they had also failed to save millions more. The victory felt hollow even though it was the greatest rescue operation ever attempted. The Galactic Council chamber was almost empty. Only 12 representatives remained out of the hundreds who had once filled the massive space. Most of the others were already dead, consumed by the dark matter cascade that was tearing through the galaxy like a hungry beast. Chairman Vexthul sat alone in his tall chair, watching the live feeds from across the dying galaxy. The screens showed the final evacuation runs, human ships diving through dangerous gravity fields to collect the last survivors. Alien crews working alongside human captains with a cooperation that had taken a galactic disaster to achieve. Counselor Quindar stood beside him. Both aliens had lost their homeworlds weeks ago. They were alive only because human ships had rescued them from their government buildings as the cascade approached. "The final count is in," Quindar said quietly. He held a datapad with numbers that told the story of the greatest tragedy and the greatest rescue in galactic history. "Tell me," Vexthul said. His voice sounded older than his 1,000-year lifespan. 47 million beings evacuated successfully, Quindar read. From over 300 different species, the human fleet saved more lives than any rescue operation in recorded history. Vexthul nodded slowly. "And how many did we lose?" Quindar was quiet for a long moment. "Approximately 200 million beings. Entire worlds that could not be reached in time. star systems that collapsed before evacuation ships arrived. The numbers hung in the air like an accusation. 200 million dead because the Council had waited 6 months to believe human warnings. 200 million beings who could have been saved if pride had not been more important than truth. On the main screen, Captain Lisa Park was making her final report from the evacuation ship Endeavour. Her vessel was packed beyond capacity with refugees from 12 different species. Human and alien children played together in the corridors, while their parents watched their home galaxy die through the viewports. "Admiral Sullivan, this is Captain Park," Lisa said. "We have completed evacuation of the Centauri sector. All ships are clear of the Cascade Zone." Admiral Kate Sullivan appeared on another screen. She was broadcasting from the mobile command center Humanity's Hope, which was carrying the last members of several alien governments to safety. "Confirmed, Captain Park," Kate replied. "All evacuation vessels are now in intergalactic space. Mission accomplished." The words, "mission accomplished," should have brought joy. Instead, they felt like a funeral announcement. The mission was complete, but the galaxy was dead. Dr. Lisa Chang appeared on a third screen. She was in her laboratory aboard one of the evacuation ships, still monitoring the Cascade even as they fled from it. "The Cascade has consumed 97% of the galaxy," she reported. "All major star systems have been destroyed. The remaining stellar bodies will collapse within the next 6 months." Chairman Vexthul watched the screens and felt the weight of his failures. He had spent his entire career in galactic politics. He had believed that diplomacy and careful consideration were the highest virtues. Now he understood that sometimes action was more important than discussion. "Chairman," said a voice behind him. Vexthul turned to see Jake Martinez entering the chamber. The human ambassador looked as tired as everyone else. He had spent the last months coordinating between human rescue operations and alien governments. "It had been a thankless job," Ambassador Martinez, Vexthul said. "I suppose you have come to gloat about being right." Jake shook his head. "I came to ask what you want to do now." The question surprised Vexthul. "What do you mean?" "The galaxy is gone," Jake said simply. "The Council has no territory to govern, but there are 47 million refugees who need leadership. They need someone to help them build new lives." Vexthul looked around the empty chamber. The seats that had once held representatives from hundreds of worlds were vacant. The government that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years no longer had anything to rule. "The Council is finished," he said. "We failed in our most basic duty to protect our people." "Maybe the old Council failed," Jake agreed. "But that doesn't mean government has to end. These refugees will need laws and organization and leadership." "Human leadership," Counselor Quindar said bitterly. "We have proven that we are not capable of making the hard decisions." Jake sat down in one of the empty council seats. It was a breach of protocol that would have caused a diplomatic incident 6 months ago. Now it seemed natural, not just human. "Leadership," he said. "All of us working together. The evacuation proved that different species can cooperate when they have to. Maybe we can build something better than what we had before." Captain Ben Tucker's voice came over the communication. "System. Admiral Sullivan, this is Captain Tucker aboard the New Horizon. We've reached the Magellanic Clouds. The advanced teams have identified 17 suitable worlds for colonization." "Confirmed, Captain Tucker," Admiral Sullivan replied. "Begin preliminary settlement operations. Priority goes to families with children and elderly beings who need immediate medical care." Vexthul listened to the efficient coordination between human officers and realized something that hurt to acknowledge. In 6 months of crisis, the humans had accomplished more than the Council had achieved in decades of peacetime governance. "The humans have already started building the new government," he said quietly. "They are making decisions and solving problems while we sit here discussing what went wrong." Dr. Amy Foster appeared on one of the screens. She was coordinating the establishment of refugee camps on the new colony worlds. Behind her, Vexthul could see humans and aliens working together to build temporary shelters. "The first refugee settlements are operational," Amy reported. "We have basic life support established for 50,000 beings. Food production facilities should be ready within 2 weeks." How are the different species adapting to shared colonies? Admiral Sullivan asked. Better than expected, Amy replied. The shared experience of evacuation seems to have broken down a lot of old prejudices. Centauri engineers are teaching hegemony citizens how to build atmospheric processors. Human doctors are learning alien medical techniques. Jake turned to Chairman Vexthal. The question is whether you want to be part of building something new, or whether you want to spend the rest of your life thinking about what you could have done differently. Vexthal stood up slowly. His forearms felt heavy, but not as heavy as they had for the past months. What do you propose? Dissolve the old council formally, Jake said. Acknowledge what happened and why it happened. Then help us create something better. A human-led government, Quindar said. A competency-led government, Jake corrected. Humans in charge of things we're good at. Aliens in charge of things they're good at. Decisions based on evidence instead of politics. Vexthal walked to the center of the chamber where he had dismissed human warnings 6 months ago. The irony was not lost on him. In the same place where he had refused to listen to truth, he was now being offered a chance at redemption. I formally dissolve the Galactic Council, he announced. His words echoed in the empty chamber. We failed our people through pride and arrogance. We delayed action when swift decision was needed. We chose politics over truth, and millions died because of our failure. The admission hurt to say, but it also felt like a weight being lifted from his shoulders. Jake stood up and walked to stand beside Vexthal. Then let's build something better. On the screens around them, the evacuation fleet continued its journey toward the Magellanic Clouds, human ships carrying alien refugees toward new homes, mixed crews of different species working, together with an efficiency that the old council had never achieved. The galaxy they had known was gone forever. But maybe, Vexthal thought, what they built to replace it would be worth the terrible price they had paid to learn the truth about themselves. In the end, the Council's greatest failure had also been humanity's greatest triumph. Not just the rescue of millions of lives, but the proof that cooperation could overcome pride, that action could triumph over paralysis, and that sometimes the youngest voice in the room was the wisest. The galaxy was dead, but from its ashes, something new and better was being born among the stars.